Hello.
Hello, hello.
Hi, y'all. How's it going?
How's everyone doing?
Hope everyone's having a good Monday.
Yeah.
It's actually President's Day. It's a holiday for most people today.
It
It's
is.
bank holiday, so some people might not be working today.
Huge fun. I'm
I
very
know.
excited.
I got time and a half on work today, so that was.
Oh, that's always good.
It's always like I'm like 27 an hour. Oh my god.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, wow. I'm excited for this week.
Yeah, and so not many people know what we're talking about this week. We just posted. Have you posted Instagram post yet?
Dude, here's the thing.
Yeah, here's the thing.
Here's the thing. I woke up maybe 10 minutes before we started recording. I forgot to set an alarm last night. I was up pretty late editing. I'll post one after the fact.
Sounds good.
And then if all of you can go into the comments of that Instagram and be like, "Whoa, he posted this early," and we could just gaslight everyone.
Gaslight every single
Just
person.
Because I wasn't late.
Yeah, no,
right?
I wasn't late either. I didn't work today, actually. Fun fact, I didn't. I was on time today too.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, for everyone that doesn't know, we're talking about a little known film. It's actually pretty. Actually, when I say that, I genuinely mean this. It's called Ernest et Celestine. It's a French film, but I watched it both in French and English 2 separate times. I don't know what you
I watched English.
Yeah, because I can't find French anywhere anymore.
I can't
yeah.
either.
So, but first time I watched it was in French, and this time it was in English. So, Ernest et Celestine is an animated movie from France, and it was Oscar nominated a couple years ago. And they just had a sequel come out last year in 2023. Not Oscar nominated, but I heard it's still just as charming. I watched half of it with my girlfriend Jordan, and we're trying to finish the last half of that soon. We just both got too tired to finish it, but we rewatched Ernest et Celestine on the plane ride that I had recently. It's such a cute and charming movie. And I really would love to get into it today. Yeah.
Yeah, I had never heard of this before.
Yeah,
ever.
yeah.
And I looked it up and I watched it, and I don't think I've ever been so hooked by like a first 10-minute intro ever. It was incredible. I think my favorite thing is just how many like themes they were able to pack in such a short film.
Yeah, hour 16. That's all it is.
It's incredible. So let's jump into it.
Yeah, I'd love to. Jumpcut.
Yeah. We'll play the intro. My favorite bit is at the beginning where they're like, a bear and a mouse cannot be friends.
Never.
Ever.
They have a horror story for the mice that the big bad bear will eat all the mice.
Mm-hmm. The world building in this
it's
is
fantastic.
Incredible. Like, whenever I talk about world building, I always bring up Zootopia, and I've probably said this in an episode before. But in Zootopia, the world it's not just the human world that animals hang out in. It's like a world designed by animals for everyone to sort of hang out in. You know?
And live. Yeah.
And it works so well with Ernest and Celestine. It's not just about it's not just like, oh, here's the human world, but there's also like especially in the mouse world, there's like elevators that the mice take, and then there's jobs and professions that like we
that
don't
are
have
certain
here.
like to them.
So
Yeah.
specific. Yeah.
And it's just it's something that's so charming, and that's one thing. The best word to describe this film is charming, and this is something that we really can't do too many spoilers for. So if you listen to this, it's not that you can still watch it and still feel the unique charm this movie has, because it has a very hand-painted animation style that suits the entire story it's going for. Mm-hmm. The voice acting, even in English, is so cute and wholesome in a lot of ways. Like, even though it's really famous actors, you can tell that Forrest Whitaker, who plays Ernest, is really putting his all into this film.
I didn't realize until sort of just now that I watched a dub.
Yeah.
I didn't really think about that because it was just so well done.
It's a very well done, and the animation's great. There's Ernest is played by Forrest Whitaker. There's Nick Offerman plays a role in it. A lot of characters really just feel like they are these characters, and I really did enjoy it watching this with my girlfriend too on the plane, because it's a charming movie. And it's a really comforting movie. It's a movie that you can really like relax and like sit down to and like have a cup of coffee or have a cup of hot chocolate too. It's like it's so just heartwarming.
Yeah, absolutely. My first sort of hint about like a greater theme in the movie is when Ernest and Celestine meet. Ernest is on a street corner performing, trying to make money, and he gets all taken away, and he goes up to Celestine, and there's Celestine says this thing about like, hey, you don't believe in fairy tales, do you? You don't believe in this childish sort of thing. And in my head, I immediately jumped to like, oh, there's going to be themes of like what being childish really means, because a lot of people see art and photography and all of these like artsy sort of things that's very, very childish.
Yeah.
And there's a certain level of purity that Ernest and Celestine sort of bring to it, saying like, hey, these things are popular with children, sure, but they're actually really, really mature and grown up, and you can learn a lot about someone just
Art
based
and
on
music,
how they express. Yeah, it was really nice, you know.
Because the hidden, not the hidden world, the world that like Celestine lives in is very much like work driven. You need to get this one place, like you need to do this internship to get this one job, because you now are you need to be a dentist, which is dentistry works completely differently. You just absolutely need to be a dentist, like that's your whole goal in life. Like I don't care what you want to do. Like, this is why you're not successful. Look at the other little mouse girl. She's so much more successful than you because she's not doing art. Oh, you drew 50 paintings instead of getting 50 teeth. Like, it's kind of like that really cute aspect is that like Celestine, she found like, and Celestine, I don't think it's ever clarified, but she lives in like an orphanage.
Yeah.
And she is only ever taught like that fairy tales of the storytelling was like, oh, big bad bears, you can't like. I'm kind of rambling here, but there's a big theme of friendship and found family.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a big theme of what you're passionate about and how that incorporates into your life and how it doesn't necessarily need to fit society's goals for yourself.
Yeah.
And I think that's just so unbelievably charming and beautiful in this film. And I just wanted to keep going on where Celestine, where she develops like the first person that says like her art is beautiful is Ernest, and the first person that says Ernest's music playing is beautiful is Celestine. And there's something that like that found family combining with that like finding your passion in life is really just, it's again like I'm gonna say, you're probably gonna like take a shot for every time I say charming, because it is just genuinely
it's so
charming, heartwarming, it's endearing, you know.
Yeah, my favorite trope in movies, or not trope, but like sort of friendship combination is like found friendship movies with like two friends that would never be together. Like this one reminded me a ton of like Wreck-It Ralph and Vanellope Von Sweet. Like
absolutely, yeah. That's actually a really good analogy to it, because you're right.
It's like the big broody like rah guy, and then the like no please don't hurt me sort of girl, and it fits so well.
Yeah,
and I love it.
It's the mischievous little girl or mischievous little person that that is going around and just like being themselves like unapologetically in a lot of ways.
Absolutely.
But then when they get encountered with a society that doesn't like their personality, it absolutely has a conflict for them, but they still undeniably want to be themselves, and I think that's really cool. And one thing I really do appreciate about this film is it doesn't let conflicts hold too long.
Yeah.
Which is like it's paired with the story back attitude with the film. Like you're gonna read Hansel and Gretel, and you're not gonna see like the conflict stay for too long. Like Cinderella, she gets her her shoe back on immediately, almost essentially. So the conflict doesn't necessarily need to hold for that long for it just because I think the best part of this movie isn't necessarily the conflict that they both arise within, like the climax. I'm trying to say conflict and the climax in the same kind of vein, where you have like where they end up getting caught. Like they don't hold on to that plot point for like half the film, because then it would feel like it would drag on. I think that the way that it's resolved is really done really well. And the idea of kindness and like also again the very common theme but still like completely valid theme of not judging a book by its cover theme is still very prevalent in the film as well. Yeah,
absolutely. There was this saying that I read in a textbook last year. Don't ask me who it's by. I don't remember. But
Kurt Lancaster, we love you, Kurt.
Yeah, huge shout out, Kurt. It said something along the lines of like a simplistic theme allows for complex characters.
Yeah.
And that's something that I love. You know, like this is, if you really think about it, one of the simplest like plot points ever. It's so like this happens and this happens and this happens, but it's not a crutch for the film to lean on. It's sort of like it allows Ernest and Celestine to have most of the film is just character development for them.
Yeah,
you know?
Absolutely.
Until the climax at the end, when they break the status quo and literally all of the laws and the courthouse symbolically burn down and break down, and it's really nice.
And it also like where the courthouse, the bottom courthouse burns the top courthouse, and they crush each other. I think that's just like because like it also shows the melding of both worlds as well.
Yeah.
And I just think that something about that is just, I don't know, symbolic again. And so I guess we should just start like I know we've just like talked about when we should probably just like start at the beginning of the film and then work our way to the end. So the beginning of the film, we start off with Ernest, who is a street performer who is not making any money. He's just hungry. He needs something to do that. And Celestine is a young orphan mouse that is just trying to make her way as essentially a tooth fairy, and she really not succeeded at it because she's drawing paintings of the bears that she doesn't think are all that bad. And they both fail because Celestine, she gets thrown into a garbage can, and Ernest goes home hungry, gets arrested, or I can't remember exactly, but he's stuck hungry, and all of a sudden, like, they encounter each other where Ernest is searching through the trash to find food, and he finds Celestine in that trash can. And initially, he jokes around to eat her, and she, like, slaps him in the face. And
it's like, why would you eat me?
And why would you eat me? And he's like, well, I'm hungry. And then she's like, well, no. And it's just
I'm
so
small. It wouldn't fill you up. There's no point.
Like, I'm all skin and bones. And then
Yeah.
they both help each other. And then he's like, well, now we owe each other a favor. And it's just this cute little, like, and it just friendship that just builds from there. And
it feels so natural.
Yeah. Oh my God, it feels so natural. And one of the cool things too is again, like you said, the world building. And so, I always wanted to talk about that. The world building in this film was so strong because it sets up initially like that family of bears of the kids that are coming out getting their teeth rotten, and the mom next door across the street is filling the teeth.
Yeah, like that's such a that plot point goes nowhere. And typically in films that would like kind of annoy me, but there was something about this where it was just done so perfectly, where it concluded in that one like scene. Like there wasn't any need for anything else.
No.
You know?
And I think that's important in the film because I don't know. I love how cute and like beautiful. And also like the art style again adapts to that.
The art style is gorgeous. It's the same sort of art style as I don't know if you watched The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse.
I love that movie.
It's the same art style as that, and it kind of
storybook.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And like the backgrounds adapt and change based on what's going on.
Yeah.
Like the story. There's a scene in the orphanage with Celestine, and there's this rat who sucks and is rude and is like, "Hey, I'm gonna tell you guys this bedtime story," and then proceeds to tell the scariest story about bears I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah.
And the entire story is told through shadows on the wall.
Yeah.
And it's not something I would ever think about doing. It's so cool.
It's just I don't know. I really found the idea of just the art style pairing with like just the storytelling aspect of the film, because I actually don't know if this is based on a book. I know we've talked about this before, like in our personal lives, but the boy, the mox, the mole, the fox, and the horse.
Yes.
And it's like that where it is based on a book and it's almost word for word. This film isn't that same idea if it feels that like it's someone telling you a story throughout the entire thing about these two amazing characters, and it's very it's again, like I said, a short film, and I think that adds to it in a lot of ways. And it's painted. It's very, again, I can't keep saying charming, but it's very endearing in this movie where you just feel like these characters are just calm. They're not like there's never like, even though there's a woman screaming at a mouse or the bears yelling at Ernest, it's like never really like feels like there's any scare or fright. It's just calming because you know at the end of the day, like these characters are gonna make it out of it. And we progress through the movie and you see all of a sudden that Ernest is just hungry, and then Celestine helps him get into the candy store, and then Ernest helps Celestine get all the teeth, which is just so funny and so like because he's like bears, like she's so scared that he's gonna wake up the whole town because he's being so loud, and then like he never explains it till the very end of when he finally gets the teeth, and he slams the thing down, and he goes, bears are heavy sleepers, and it's just so it's funny.
Yeah, like usually in voice acting, I watched the English stuff, but I don't know how the French was. But usually in voice acting, there's a certain level of, hey, I'm building up my voice for a character.
Yeah.
And like there's a certain level of like amplifying your voice to fit a character. But these sounded so natural, like a conversation between two people, and that's what aided to the comedy of them robbing this candy and tooth store.
Yeah.
She's like, "What are you doing? You're like."
Yeah,
I can't even imitate it. It's so good.
I can very tell like these people were like just watching these characters, and I know that the French dub was done before, and it's not French. The French was someone done before, and then so I feel like every actor that voiced it in English was really looking at the French film and wanting to mimic. Because I've seen both now, and I was really trying to show my girlfriend the French one, but I was kind of sad. I was like, oh man, the English dub, it's probably gonna be bad. I was not. I was very, very pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
And my girlfriend Jordan, like I know she had a great time with it. She loved this movie. Forrest Whitaker, he's Ernest. He's just absolutely stand out. And so I don't know the voice actress for Celestine. I'll look it up in a second, but she was also so perfect because these characters are just bantering with each other, and that's the majority of the film. I'd say about 80% of the film, 90% of the film is these two characters bantering with each other. And when I say bantering, it's not like arguing. It's like this cute little like back and forth that they have. And then we progress to the film where they finally both get caught, and then she helps him escape jail, and then like they both escape jail and all this stuff. And then they go and take that van all the way to Ernest's house, and they stay there throughout the winter.
Yes.
And something about that, when they first see each other, and this is something I found really, really cool, is the idea of dreams in the film. Celestine fears about being a dentist. She fears that like no one like will ever see her art, no one will ever appreciate who she is, and the same fear is in Ernest, where he fears that his father and his grandfather, who are all judges, are all going to look down upon him, and the people that comfort them out of their nightmares are both of them.
Yeah.
Ernest comforts Celestine, and Celestine comforts Ernest, and you can see that these people care about each other. She puts the umbrella above him, and then he wakes her up and makes her breakfast. And these little small actions that happen throughout the film, outside of their big actions of helping them escape, helping them feed, helping them steal the teeth, like the small actions of like here, I'm going to put this umbrella in front of you, or like here, I'm going to just make sure that I'm there for you. And it's just something so beautiful.
It is. You can tell in the booth that these two voice actors, they're like actually like you can hear them smile as they say their lines. You can hear them, like every emotion is like feels so real, even though they're just reading a script, you know. And I think one of my favorite lines in the entire film that kind of wraps everything together is towards the end when they're both in court and Ernest says to the group of mice, "Are you scared of me?" And they're like, "No." And then Celestine says to the mothers, they're like, "Hey, are you scared of me?" And they're like, "No." And then I don't know what it was, but it just felt so raw about no, we're not scared of you, but like
society has
we're
taught
told,
us
we're told to be scared of you, but you right here, now that you're in front of me, you're fine, you know?
And in a lot of ways and it's the reading a book fair cover, and I think that it's something so small and so easy to talk about, but it allows for this idea of a conversation. Like, this is a film that's an hour 26 minutes or hour 16 minutes, I can't remember exactly, that we're able to talk so in-depthly about. So, like that scene you're talking about, we have the mice and the mice make the mother scared, and the bears make the kids scared, and like the kids are told to scream, and then the mother is told to scream. And they both are like, that's societal viewpoint, and you can draw that right into our own day and lives. Like, you can talk about like older generations being scared of certain races or certain sexualities or something like that. In the large term, it's like they try to like incorporate that into the younger generations, but as further and further we progress, the more and more that you see that people are allowing themselves to really be comfortable with everyone in their lives. And that's very much paired with like, bears aren't really afraid of mice, they're just told to be. And the mice aren't really afraid of bears, they're just told to be, because that's how they were raised. And it's something that's so beautiful is like just engaging yourself with it, and being around those people or those bears and mice is just something that can be the most fun for you, because you see Ernest and Celestine be the most wonderful duo ever. And you're just like it doesn't matter that they're a bear and a mouse, it just matters that they're each other. It matters that they're Ernest, and it matters that they're Celestine.
There's like this one scene that is like, "Hey, you wanna live with a bear?" "Well, yeah, sure." "Isn't that weird? Don't you live with a bear?"
Yes,
"Well,
I do."
Yeah. Like,
and it's like, and he's like, that is very weird, isn't it? And it's like, because he lives with his wife, and it's the judge, and he comes out and he says, "This little mouse saved me," and then the other mouse comes out and says, "This bear saved me." And
everyone else bailed, but you
stayed
behind.
And it's just like, it's a film that can be like in a lot of ways a good kind of like heartwarming tearjerker, where it's like, it's very much an insight on humanity and the way that we have prejudices and the idea of how we view each other.
All of this packed in a nice hour 16-minute film. Like, it's so simple, and that's what makes it so complex.
And I love that. And I'm gonna look up what year this was nominated for an Oscar. So because like I genuinely think it might have had a really tough competition that year. Let's see. You can keep like talk. Like one of the things I love talking about too in this film is my girlfriend Jordan. She really loves this. Is that so many characters have hats, and it's just so cute.
Like the character design works so well. Like, you can tell who's supposed to be scary, who's supposed to be cute. You can tell that the little brat mouse is supposed to be a brat, just based off of nothing other than the way she's drawn. The character design is beautiful. And like there's this scene where they're like training, like the mice are training for possible mouse traps, and they're like doing crunches and sit-ups with mouse traps, and it's so funny, and it fits, and it builds this entire world out, you know.
It does, and it's just like that. It's just so cute, and like you see. Oh, one thing the thing is really cool is the different kinds of bears that are different professions.
Yeah.
And I thought that was super cute. Where we have the bears that are police officers are polar bears.
Yeah.
And I was like, that is the most adorable thing.
Like, why does that make sense?
Yeah,
I get it.
Like, it's just so.
There's
so
one
cute.
panda bear in the courtroom.
Is lost to Brave, by the way.
What?
Yeah, I lost to Brave
How?
that year. I
Sorry.
don't know. Yeah,
Love you, Disney. What?
Yeah, I lost to Brave that year. But no, like the panda was like the what do they call it? Like the announcer at the courthouse, and the big grizzly bear was the judge.
So what was this? 2012.
12. That means
yeah.
in 2013 it came out. It came
Well,
up to the Oscars.
I guess the Oscars in 2012, the best animated feature was just like whatever Pixar movie came out that year.
That's true.
That was like how it was for a really long
time until like Spider-Verse came out, which was shout out to last week. Go watch us on YouTube. And
yeah, go watch Spider-Verse. I
yeah.
didn't forget to post about that one.
Yeah, and so but yeah, and in general, I just it's just like again, I really want people to go see this. This is one of the most underrated movies we think we've ever talked about on this podcast.
Yeah.
I think we've had plenty of films that are in a lot of ways out there, and a lot of people know about them. And I think that this film is one of those few films that is very much underrated because not many people know about it. And I only found out about this shout out to Letterboxd from the top 100 at Letterboxd animated features, and I was like, okay, it looks kind of cute. I like French movies, I like animated movies, and I was like blown away from how cute it was. And one thing I really love doing recently is watching these movies with my girlfriend, like the movies we do for our podcast. And so long story short, I went on a plane ride this past week. I went to Atlanta with my girlfriend Jordan, and we had a wonderful time. But we on the plane ride, it was pretty scary. It was a pretty turbulent plane ride, and I knew that Ernest and Celestine was going to be a beautiful film to show her. And sadly, it was only an hour, but during that entire hour, it was a good distraction because of its heartwarming nature, because of its message, because of the characters, because of everything that's in this film.
Yeah.
And the one thing I do love about this is that you can see yourself in every character, and it's like, oh, I'm gonna be Celestine, or I'm gonna be Ernest, or I'm the judge, or I'm that person, because you can see yourself in these characters because simplicity allows for complex themes, and simplicity allows for complex characters. Simplicity allows for seeing yourself in. Who's there? Oh, I don't know him.
That's Kevin. He's in charge of me for Kjack.
Kevin's in charge of you?
That's
Yeah,
my
nice.
boss.
And then we're all around here. I love seeing. There's Hayden Shoemaker.
Yeah. Hey, Shu.
Oh, he can't
He's
hear us.
talking.
He's talking. But yeah, sorry, we got distracted because we're in a clear booth right now. But again, I was saying, it's just the most beautiful thing to see. Like, oh, I'm Ernest because I just love playing instruments, and I was not allowed to do that as a kid, or something like that. Or like, I'm Celestine because I love art, or I'm this judge because I'm maybe big and burly, but I have a heart of gold, and like that kind of thing where you just don't know. And one thing I've noticed so far in the sequel, 30 minutes, is we're visiting Ernest's hometown, and it's a lot of similar themes.
Really?
It's a lot of the idea of this one's a little bit more fish out of water theme because he is in a lot of ways a fish out of water of his own family, and he discovers his true passion of music back at his home, and how his family doesn't allow that and doesn't really want that, and just discovering that for himself and finding himself again is something that I think is really cute, and having Celestine support him. And again, I'm not finished with the film; I have 30 minutes left of it, but again, that idea is that these two characters support each other, and it's something that I really think that is great. And I don't we've talked about the found family ideas too much yet, but many people think that your blood is your only relatives and is your only family.
Absolutely not.
And it's something that many people in my life personally, I consider them family.
Yeah.
I consider them people that I love dearly, and they've never been related to me, and they never will be related to me. And I think that it's the most beautiful thing to see, my half sister or my best friends, and I love them so much that without them I don't think I'd be the same person I was today.
Oh yeah.
And I found them, and they're my found family, and I would treat them just the same as family. They're at my Thanksgivings, they're at my Christmases. I give them the Christmas cards because I genuinely love them so much. And that's just something that happens, is that sometimes family might not be the best people for you, as it is for Ernest or as it is for Celestine. These people might not be those saviors or that support system you need, and then you find someone in the most unexpected places.
Yeah, it's very rarely when we do episodes like this have I never heard of the film, right?
Yeah.
Like I think every single episode we've done, I've seen before. There was a scrapped episode where we were going to do Claws. I hadn't seen Claws, but I heard about it, right?
Yeah.
Usually going into these, I'll watch the movie and I'll have a bunch of, points that I already want to talk about, and then I'm just, hyper-focused on those points while watching the movie to try to find evidence to support the claims, right?
Yeah.
That's typically how I go about doing these. But with this one, going in blind just let me really enjoy it and really just sort of let my mind think about what was being told, And I have a bunch of things that I feel like the film is trying to say that I don't have evidence for,
Yeah.
There's I left, I closed my laptop. I left the movie thinking oh man, you are in charge of your own future. You can decide what you want, and there's the only thing stopping you is yourself,
Yeah.
You can, and again, I don't know where that came from.
Yeah.
That's just how it is, and there's a bunch of them like that, and there's something special about this film that just, I don't know, it makes me feel empowered. Is that the right word?
I
Maybe.
think just inspired too. Yeah. And it's just, I don't know, it's something that I can't express well enough that this is one of those movies that comes out of nowhere. You hear a lot about animated movies that are the best ever. One animated movie that everyone talks about, and we've talked about, How to Train Your Dragon, because everyone loves it because it is genuinely that good.
It's the best one.
It's the best one. And this is something that is so under I'm a film major. It's so underground, bro. You've never seen this movie. But genuinely, it's something that I would never discover without hearing someone talk about it or reading a review of it. And I think that if anyone just randomly comes across this, if you don't go to NAU, if you don't live in Flagstaff, if you don't know me and Andy personally, if you're randomly scrolling on YouTube or randomly joining in on 107.1 and you live in Flagstaff, go find it. It's I think a $2.99 rental.
I watched it on Tubi.
Tubi, yeah,
for free.
Yeah, you can watch it on Tubi for free. And if you don't have Tubi or don't have access to Tubi, you can rent it on Amazon or rent it on anything for I think anything that has rental prices for $2.99.
Yeah.
And
if you pirate it, we'll know.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
we'll come to your house.
We'll come to your house.
This isn't a joke. Direct threat.
Yeah,
come
direct.
to
Yeah. Well, don't pirate.
Don't pirate it.
Don't pirate it. If you're gonna pirate anything, pirate the Eternal. I'm just kidding. Don't pirate anything. But what I was saying again further is that this is it's something that I think that movies have such a strong hold onto you and as a storytelling aspect, and there is nothing like animated movies or real live action movies that exist in art in a lot of ways, and I think this film is a really good expressive of that. So you can read this book and imagine these characters moving. You can imagine the talking that happens, or you can look at the paintings of a stationary painting of maybe these characters, but you can't imagine their voices. You can listen to a podcast of these characters talking and telling the story, and you have to leave it up to your imagination to see it. But nothing combines those like film. And it's something that why I fell in love so much with film, because in a lot of ways, film is the most complete art form because it combines audio, visual, and emotional, all in one. And it's just something that is not able to be done on any other aspect. And I just think that is so beautiful. And I can't express that enough, because Ernest and Celestine is something that if I read that, I wouldn't give Ernest the big hulking voice that Forrest Whitaker has, and I wouldn't have seen his little actions of playing a trumpet or seeing the little notes come off his violin or seeing the atmosphere around them change or seeing these mice come up in big little waves as literal emotions of water. And
it's crazy.
And I just can't express that enough, because there's nothing that can do that and give me those emotions as movies can. And this is a perfect explanation of how this is something that does exist in almost all mediums, but this way, it's the most perfect way to view it.
Yeah, it's a very, very complete story. And because I'm a film major, there's a certain level of snobbiness and entitlement that comes with that. And all my friends will make fun of me for it, but I, in my brain, have made up this thing that there is a difference between a movie and a film.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
I made that up. I don't know if that's a real thing.
Yeah.
But in my head, this is a film. This is complete. This is Brave is a movie.
In a lot of ways.
I don't know. I don't even know what I'm trying to say. I just everything about this feels like it doesn't feel like a product. It doesn't feel like something that someone sent to the box office in hopes of 3xing their money and going about their day. 4 or 5 sequels in the making, you know. In my head, this is a passion project from every single person on the crew. I say this all the time.
Yeah.
Every single person in the crew, the animation department, cared.
Yeah.
All of them cared, wanted to be there, wanted to make the best thing they could without any expectations of financial gain or like celebrity status gain or anything like that. It felt very complete and with a purpose. You
I
know?
completely can guarantee that Forrest Whitaker, and I remember I just looked up her voice. What's her name? Let me just pull it back up real quick. Mackenzie Foy, the Celestine voice actress, or Nick Offerman.
They're so great.
Like, they're all so fantastic. Like, they're not like being like, yeah, I'm here promoting my Marvel movie, you know, as a go. Like, it's not like that. and it's just like, I don't know. I think that it is so absolutely beautiful to see these people that care so much about a movie and so much about a film that they really, really put all their heart and emotion to it. And you can see that every frame of this film is animated perfectly. I think that, again, it looks almost watercolor in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And I know it's obviously animated on a computer. Don't get me wrong. It's how animation is done nowadays. It's impractical to do anything besides stop motion or computer digital. But it's hand drawn, and you can easily tell that.
It kind of reminds me of Lilo and Stitch in a way, where like all the backgrounds feel very alive and watercolor styled and intentional, you know?
Yeah, and it's where I bring up that idea of like it's a storybook, because it's like that's something that we talked about world building in a little bit, is that like that small little dynamic between the father, the son, and the mom bear, where they're the dentist, the candy dealer, and then the candy man. That's what I was gonna say. And then the kid, and all the kids line up to rot their teeth away, and he's giving them all his candy. And this is subsidiary to the whole plot. Like, given the conflict is that he loses all his candy and she loses all her teeth. But that's what it is. But like,
there's rob a tooth store.
Yeah. And then the thing is, though, is that it develops this idea that there is a whole world of these kids that are rotting their teeth, and they have to go to the dentist to get canine filled or molar filled, and then they go downstairs and they have to the mice who. The one, it's so funny. The lawyer comes back and he loses his tooth, and jurors can't hear him, and it's so funny because they realize that their incisors are so incredibly important, and they only can get it from bears, and it's this back and forth dynamic that you think that's been happening for years. It's not like one of my biggest complaints about, in a lot of ways, is Illumination, is the movies exist for only the movies, and it's something that's very frustrating. It's like Sing exists of animal characters in a human world.
Yes.
It's just these animal characters that are in America's Got Talent now, you know, and they don't really like the gorillas are in prison, and the elephant does his own thing, and like it's like sure they have their own dynamics and whatever, and people can say what they want about Sing, but I obviously don't like it, or even like Gru Minions, like it all exists around Gru's world. Like I don't ever see like I can never imagine other characters that are doing their own thing, or Secret Life of Pets. I can only imagine the pets in that movie.
Yeah.
And this film, I can imagine that whole life and that dynamic of that one kid who finally now gets a piece of cotton candy from his dad, or marshmallows from his dad, because he secretly goes behind their back, because now that like they're all focused on the Ernest and Celestine thing. Well, we never see that, and I can just leave it to my imagination because I know those characters exist in their own realm.
Yeah, and the world is so like intentionally filled out where every single character is the hero of that story.
Yeah,
you know, every single character, just like in the real world. Whereas, let's pick a random example. Sing, right?
Yeah.
Sing, like you could tell, like I could be making this up, but it feels like the world in Sing, or in the new one, Migration.
I didn't even see it.
New York is just grabbed from blenders, like, oh, this is the New York blender thing.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't feel made.
Here's Skyscraper 4. Like
yeah, like it there's not a single building, character, prop, object, anything in Ernest and Celestine that is not there for a reason that adds to the world and makes everything feel lived in.
Yeah,
it's the thing. It's a very lived-in set.
The smallest things is like the elevators for the mice. It's like that you see this one character where Celestine gets off and this one character wasn't paying attention. He goes down the elevator again.
Yeah.
And it's just something like, that's so unneeded, but it's
like,
so charming and beautiful. And when she's walking around the city, you have a newspaper guy, you have all these people that are living their day-to-day lives, and you see them, like, even the police officers, you feel like, oh my god, they each, like, the chiefs of each one is having their own life, and he's the main character. He's like, I could totally see a movie about, like, these two criminals, Ernest and Celestine, are being chased by these undercover cop that is now, like, trying to find them after months and months of searching.
Yeah.
And, like, I could totally see, it sounds funny, a Prisoners. Don't compare it to, like, the actual movie Dennis Villeneuve, but, like, you know how Jake Gyllenhaal is in the movie. Like how, like, that version of Ernest and Celestine. And then you have, like, I can totally see both judges having their own movie where the judge, he goes the one simple line of, like, don't you live with a bear? Yeah, I do, and I guess that is weird. It's like I could totally see maybe like an upstyle movie or something like that, like, or if that judge's life with his wife. You know what happens.
Absolutely, you can pick any character in there and have a Lion King 1.5 type sequel.
Exactly.
For any of them, you know. For those of you who don't know, Lion King 1.5 is the same movie as Lion King, but from Timon and Pumbaa's perspective.
Yes.
And I love that. You know, like it fleshes out the world, and it's every. I'm rambling at this point, but you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, and it's one thing that I think this film can bring out in both of us is this idea of a ramble. Like, a lot of times, this is, like, again, this is the I mean, I have seen this film before, obviously, but I love that Andy has it. I think next week at the end of this podcast, I'm gonna tell Andy to give me a movie I've never seen before, and we're gonna do that for next week because I love this idea of this. It's something that is so charming about seeing a movie for the first time and not knowing anything about it. And I just can't express how much that is beautiful. And, like, that's one thing I love about movies. And I think that is a lot of ways tainted by social media, as everything is a trailer, everything needs to be seen, everything like that.
Teaser, trailer 1, trailer 2, like, yeah.
And as much as I love that for, like, a really big hype movie, like, I'm watching every trailer for, like, Star Wars or something like that, or Dune 2, which I'm excited for Dune 2, but I'm not, like, the most hyped. I imagine, like, I'm gonna use Dune 2 as an example because that's probably my most anticipated movie of this year. Is, like, I'm watching every trailer for that movie because I'm anticipating it. I want to go see it. But movies where, like, you just randomly find out on Letterboxd, read the 1-line, 2-line thing about what it's about, and you're like, oh, that sounds interesting. Go into it, and you have a great time. I did that for my favorite movie of all time. Ernest, Everything Everywhere at Once is, like, a movie that I literally only knew the synopsis of in the Letterboxd account. And then same thing. Past Lives this past year. I only knew that there are 2 characters in it, and the same guy from First Cow was in it. And I was like, oh, it looks interesting. And they end up being some of my favorite movies of all time because it reminds you of the time when you were a kid. Is your parents just go to take you to see a movie, or they just put something in the VHS player, or now they just run something on any streaming service.
Is Redbox a thing?
It still exists. It still exists. I have a very funny story about Redbox of when I used to use those Visa gift cards to pay for it, but I'd only have like $1 left in the Visa gift card, and so then it would keep charging the Visa gift card, and I would end up having a new movie. I'm meaning to.
Whoa.
I know Redbox. Don't come. I never can work for Redbox again. I'm sorry. It was a thing that me and my sister did. We were young and stupid.
That's like really smart. What the heck?
It doesn't. You can't do it anymore. Sadly.
That makes sense.
Yeah. But no. Beside the point, and we're getting tangent-sized, but it's something that I think that we're going to talk about this movie, and we're talking about movies in general. But I don't know. I really, really love how this film is one of those movies that you can go into not knowing anything, or just hearing our love talking about it, and go watch it for yourself. I know my girlfriend loved it. I know that she loved every single aspect of seeing it. This is a movie I'm going to recommend to my roommate Sam. I mean, if seeing it again, I watched it for the first time and I gave it a 4-star. But I'm watching it this time, I'm like, this is a 4.5-star movie because it's so charming and perfect in every way that it tries to be.
Yeah.
Like, it's not trying to be anything it's not. And I think that's one thing that's big about movies is that a lot of these, like, animated movies are trying to be like these new, like, oh, I'm trying to be the new Toy Story. I'm trying to be the new Up. I'm trying to be the new WALL-E. They're trying to be things that they're not. And they think that if the movies just take, or the new Wish is trying to be the new Cinderella. Yeah. It's these ideas that these films need to be on their own, and they need to separate themselves from reality, inspirations, and just be their own movie. And sure, you can be inspired by anything at all. I'm inspired by heavily comedy movies or by drama movies or anything like that. And when I write, but creating your own story based on your own life or based on anything that you want to write a story about, and then making it like Ernest and Celestine is something that is so beautiful.
Well, absolutely. And I think the reason that we keep rambling about films that aren't this is just Ernest and Celestine made me fall in love with, like, filmmaking as a platform, you know? It's like everything that I could have wanted in a film in one. And even the most perfect movies have stuff that they can learn from Ernest and Celestine. You know? It's like, everything about Ernest and Celestine is, I don't believe in perfect movies at all, but
Never.
I can't think of a single thing that I would change about it.
No, exactly. You know? And so that's one thing. Is perfection is hard to strive for, and I think that we can call anything a perfect movie because based on our own beliefs and most anything like that. And to some people, and I think in a lot of ways, I really respect this director and this animation studio. I believe in their own viewpoint that they created a perfect movie, and because that's something that like I think that can be enjoyed by anyone. Again, that's one thing that I think that a lot of times happens with movies, and so I tell people this a lot of times is I think that 2001: A Space Odyssey is a good movie on paper, and it's a good movie for film students and things like that, but it's a movie that can't be enjoyed by everyone.
Exactly. Oh my gosh, yeah, exactly.
Citizen Kane in the same way. I think that some of the best movies are some of the what I call the most accessible movies.
Yeah.
And a movie that is most accessible is something that can relate to every audience besides babies. And the thing is that Ernest and Celestine can appeal to children, and Ernest and Celestine can appeal to preteens. Ernest and Celestine can appeal to teenagers. Ernest and Celestine can appeal to college students. Ernest and Celestine can appeal to young adults, to elderly people, to everyone.
Yeah.
And then there's other movies, How to Train Your Dragons, like that, A Secret Life of Walter Mitty. Almost every film we've talked about can have that aspect of it. Some of my favorite movies of all time, Scooby-Doo, Everything Everywhere All at Once, Past Lives. It's these ideas of films that can be enjoyed by everyone, and that doesn't make not every movie needs that.
Yeah.
And I think that every movie, some movies like Prisoners or other like Arrival can benefit from being an adult movie, but a lot of times a movie that strives to be everything that it needs to be, and it accomplishes that, like Ernest at Celestine. And it makes it for that I can really realistically say that if I was a person working this film, I'd be so proud to see this, to see people talk about this movie and see people watch this movie, because I think that I'm proud of making a movie that is so perfect.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're just gushing about this movie now. It's it's so good. If you're watching or listening to this and you haven't seen Ernest and Celestine, I would highly recommend it. Again, I hadn't even heard of this before 24 hours ago. You know,
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah, Andy texted me because I was on vacation, and he's like, hey, I just want to watch a movie that like one of these recommendation ones for you, because like I know you've been busy. And I was like, oh, I've watched a couple movies on the plane, and so I'll let Andy know. I didn't tell him which ones. I had all 4 options to. I watched 4 movies. I had Monster House, Ernest at Celestine, Flamin' Hot, and Lisa and Frankenstein. And I
haven't seen any of those.
I know. Well, Lisa and Frankenstein's still in theaters right now. And Flamin' Hot is a really bad anime. It's not animated. I actually really thought it was charming in a lot of ways, but it's like not that best of a movie. But it's a spy biopic. It feels decently incorporated. And then you have I was like Monster House, which is a old like childhood movie I watched with my girlfriend, and then Ernest and Celestine. I was like, there's no better movie to recommend to Andy besides Monster House or Ernest and Celestine. And then I talked to my girlfriend, and I was like, which one would be the better one for Andy to watch? And I was like, he'll love Ernest and Celestine. And I think that I was really happy about that decision. And I think that like if anyone that's watching this or anyone in the comm building right now that can hear our podcast, if they can watch it, go watch it.
Yeah, I know my grandma listens to these. You would love this movie. I'm talking directly to you right now. You would love this movie.
Go watch
so
it.
much. It's so good.
Hey, Dad, I even think you'd like this movie. And like, oh my God, my sister doesn't watch this podcast because she's too busy, but I'm gonna tell her to.
Fake fan?
Yeah.
What?
Oh, I know my sister's a fake fan. I'll tell my sister to watch this movie because I think it's so perfect for every audience, and I think my little 4-year-old nephew could watch this movie and have a good time with it.
Yeah.
And that's something that I can't say about every movie.
No.
And I don't know. Again, we're talking about so many things that are outside of this film, but that's because this film inspires so much, and I just it's such an idea that I don't know anything about art. I genuinely don't. I drawn art, and so many people in my life that I've been introduced to know a lot about art, and it's something I've always wanted to get incorporated with. But it's because animation, and in a lot of ways, it's my biggest gripe with the Oscars. That I don't think that it should just be a category that it's nominated for and that's it.
Oh, absolutely.
Because anime movies is not a genre. It's not. It's a style. It's like people always talk about, oh, what's the genre of that movie that you watched? Oh, it's an anime movie. No.
What?
It's like there are films that in a lot of ways have been tarnished in the animation department because it isn't just an animated movie. It's something that is popcorn grabby and kids can watch it. And I think that it's tarnished because sometimes it's a family movie, sometimes it's an action movie, sometimes it's a drama. Like some of the most like I've seen some of the most adult films as animated movies.
Yeah.
Like I've seen animated documentaries. Like there's things that can only be done by animated movies. And I recently watched all of the short film, feature films animated films for the Oscars this year. And they're all short films, and each one had their own unique charm to it. And one of them was severely adult, that only an adult realistically could watch, because it had nudity, it had deal with suicide in it, and it's like like that idea that maybe the child can't do that, but it doesn't make it just an animated movie. That is something so much further, and that's why Ernest and Celestine is comparable. It's not just an animated movie. It's a movie that is animated, but it's a family movie. It's a drama.
It's universal.
It's a universal movie, and I think that seeing these two characters that everyone can relate to in some aspect or another, I feel like every person can relate to Ernest or Celestine, or the judge, or the grandma, or anyone in the film, or the dentists, anything like that, because the creators of the film, the writers of the film, the animators of the film put so much love and care, and seeing everyone just love this movie. I've never seen anyone dislike this movie. Everyone I've shown this movie, talked about this movie, like genuinely can love it.
Yeah, it's so. And back to the animation thing, I get so frustrated about the Oscars with their animation. You know, there's films like Intergalactic or If Anything Happens, I Love You. Those films do not like if
that's the one where the guy that gets the hand, right?
No.
No.
Intergalactic's the one with Kid Cudi, and If Anything Happens, I Love You is the one about the school shooting.
Oh yes.
So like
yes.
those are two that you can't. The like genre is not animation. You know, like those cannot be put in the same category as Disney Pixar's Coco. You know, like ever, and it's frustrating. And my fear with this film is that people will watch it and think, oh, that was a nice kids animated movie.
That was a nice kids movie. No, it's not.
It's
because then they'll be like, oh, that's a nice animated movie for kids, and like it's something that I think is a problem with the industry as a whole, and it's something that I think generations get older and they're like, oh, just another animated movie, and I think that's something I love about some of the new movies coming out that do feel adult. Like we have the Spider-Verses, which in a lot of ways, like we talked about last week, aren't necessarily like just the same things that we've seen before.
Yeah.
And because we got to be honest, like that modern wave of animation is definitely brand new, starting with Toy Story, because previously we had films that like Snow White and everything like that, all 2D animated, where in a lot of ways only a few came out a year because it's so hard to do. But now that animation is significantly more accessible to many audiences because computers do a lot of the work, I think that it's both help tarnishing, but then in a lot of ways allowing for creativity to help boost the idea that animation isn't a genre.
Yeah, absolutely. And hopefully one of these days, it'll be seen as such, you know?
And I think that's something that's really cool is like, I'm going to shout out some of my favorite animated movies that are very unique, like Wolfwalkers, or like Song of the Kells, or like Ernest and Celestine, or any animated movie from Japan, like Your Name that we've talked about, Suzume, trying to think, Silent Voice.
I got you.
Yeah, thank you. You knew exactly what I was talking about.
Yeah, we're on the same Wi-Fi.
They're films that are severely underrated, and they're greatly beautiful because, I don't know, they just try their hardest to be a movie and not just an animated movie.
Yeah, like animation should not be the entire marketing of your film. You should not be like, hey, I made an animated. I made a film, a coming-of-age film, a story about love. You know, like that's
a
where
found family movie like this one is.
That's where I think the Ghibli movies just kill it. You know,
Yeah.
They do so good with that.
Yeah, absolutely. You get a movie such as Boy and the Heron, which came out this past year.
So good.
And you see all this all of a sudden, like the marketing for that movie is as crazy as the movie is itself. And then Ulin Rises is a movie about planes, which I'm going to get a tattoo for because I love that movie. And it's just, I don't know. I think that there's something so beautiful about that. But yeah, I don't know. I've gushed a lot about this movie, and I think it's hard to talk about an hour 16 or hour 26 minute movie, but I think that I just want everyone to watch this. And I think that we talk about that every week. And eventually we will do a hate movie. Don't get us wrong. We will find one that we both dislike, but I don't know. I just think I really love, and I'm really excited for. Also, we're shouting out. I'm just because we don't talk about all the time. But we're gonna be doing some Oscar ones too coming soon.
Yeah, we have some
plans going on. But yeah, like keep going. But yeah.
Yeah, no, that's about it. Are there any sort of like final thoughts you want to give, or?
No. I guess say go watch us on Tubi, go watch us on Amazon, go watch us on Apple TV, whatever you have. I always tell you to go watch these movies and just. Have a good time. Have a good day. Enjoy your day off if it's a bank holiday for you. So
yeah, you'll love this movie.
Yeah. Go have a good time.
Yeah, love you guys.
Love you.
See you soon.
Peace out.